Okay, quick video, then I need to go to sleep. This is part 12, called And Ye Shall Be As Gods. Or we can call it Hammer, Tongs and Fur. Because it seems there's stuff in the iconography which is not in any mythology that survives. The forbidden fruit is technology. It's not an apple. It's and you can see this in the iconography. The forbidden fruit is hammer, tongs, and fur, and you see that in the Bible. Well, not you see it in the iconography and partly in the Bible. Hammer, tongs, and fur. Snake says, "You'll know good and evil. You'll be like God." It's all good, but what he doesn't tell the people is that by being like God, you have to work like God. You're going to have to work very hard, and this is the trick of the Satan, of the serpent, right? You're going to have to work very hard now, but I'll give you the tools, and you'll understand, and you'll be like God. And Adam and Eve encounter some kind of metamorphosis, because after their metamorphosis, suddenly they're naked. They weren't naked before, and suddenly they make clothes for themselves out of sewn fig leaves. And then God is saying, I'm going to cast you back to earth and you're going to work hard and eat bread. And now you have to eat bread because you're a technology person. You see, he actually says, you shall, he says here, by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread. In other words, you're not eating the fruit from the tree anymore. You're going to make your food, because now you're a maker God. You're going to make your bread. And there's a very strange passage. After all this, I reckon that passage there is about, that's the snake talking. And the Lord God said, or it might not be. Here is, see, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. And now he might reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore, we can't have that. We don't want them to live forever. So send him to earth. But then it says, and this is what the snake did, he drove, I believe, well, it says here, he drove out the man. Sorry, there it is. And the Lord God made garments of skin. That's what the snake's doing. Garments of skins for the man and for his wife, and clothed them. And you see that at Gobeckli Tepe. I'm not going to keep showing you the same statue where he's wearing the animal skin. So this is the reason. This is the trick of the snake. I'll make you gods, but now that you're gods, you've been metamorphosized, you're going to have to work a bit differently to the other animals. Okay, let's continue. And the Sumerian word for hammer is urudu, and this is very similar to the English word ore, O-R-E. And it's the word for metal in general. Of course it is, ore. Because Gutians, Germanics went into Sumer. Anglo-Saxon tongs. Why am I showing you this? That's why. Because I found a legend. The Slav god came to earth with hammer, tongs, and furs to give to mankind, a kind of blacksmith god. And here on this Viking stele, we have something very fascinating. Basically, we have here, it seems that, it's like an Escher picture. You can't see where it starts, where it ends. But anyway, with these snakes. But anyway, this snake's body is the sky, and from the sky, it could be a snake breaking out of the belly, but it looks like it could be a pair of tongs. Those two lines, which are what the statues are holding. All of them are holding the same thing, same as the sun god at Tiwanaku. And then the tongs are holding onto a hammer, and this is coming down from heaven. This is why you shall be as gods. And this is being delivered by the snake across. This snake's actually a bit of a a bit of a Nut, the sun god, the sky god in ancient Egyptian, Nud, which is a naked woman. And tongs, hammer. Shira or Sharer smashes into thousands. Ninurta, we're getting into almost Mahabharata-like legends because the missile of the Shira has the power to fly across vast distances and then can also communicate with its wielder. So we're getting into the ancient high tech which we're trying to avoid. But anyway, there you go. There's some there's some of that. And the reason I am showing you this is it's more of the same, an enchanted talking mace. I was looking up a Sumerian version of the hammer, so that's possibly one of them. So it's magical, and it's hard to find this, but there's a legend online here about Bozyan toy descended from. It could be from a book, and it hasn't really. It could be an obscure reference in a book somewhere, or it might be completely made up. But a bloke called Bozyan toy descended from heaven with a hammer, tongs, and fur. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Hammer, tongs, and fur. Sorry. That's awful. Turn that down. So the fur... And he's holding, we've said they're snakes, but they're also tongs, because the tongs are holding the hammer. And he is the hammer. But he's holding a pair of tongs, possibly coming from heaven. There are also a pair of snakes in some iconography, and a hammer. Hammer and tongs. Ye shall be as gods. It's clear there's a lost legend of the snake delivering the hammer and the tongs and the fur, because it says in the Bible, I'm giving you some fur to make clothes. You're going to use fur to make clothes now because your fur is gone. You only have skin now because the snake turned you into a god. So now you have to do what we do. You have to work hard. You can't just automatically receive food like the animals do from other animals. Looking up some tongs to see if, but think how useful these were for metallurgy, for doing anything, especially metal related or technology related. And humans would have seen that without hammers, to build houses, we can't survive. And of course, these are blacksmithing tools. Kalanish, obviously, just looking at it, it can be a hammer, or it can be a tongs. And of course, that in the previous video was what suddenly excited me tremendously. It's like he's holding an upside-down baby, but it isn't. It's a cross. And it's a pair of tongs. And this is Tor. He's got the hammer. And he's got the tongs as well. It's like part of the same package. And then I look up, well, where does hammer and tongs come from? Because I've heard this many times. And it says here... It appears in written English around the 18th century, though it is likely been spoken language before then. You know what? Lots of these phrases are thousands of years old. They're really old. Lots of things we say, we haven't got a clue. A man's worth is salt because they paid him in salt. And apparently that was in Roman times. We're talking 2,000 years. So where does hammer and tongs... Ooh. Hope you enjoyed part 12, which was entitled And Ye Shall Be As Gods. And especially referring to some legend of hammer, tongs and fur from heaven. Cheers.